Why an emergency fund matters. Hi there, it's Luigi, and welcome to Catapult Capitalism, your guide in making smart financial moves for your future. Emergencies happen all the time. Sometimes things get all over the place. Of course, by nature, an emergency is unexpected. From a flat tire to an emergency hospital admission to a natural disaster or maybe a sudden job loss, an emergency will arise. How about you? Will you be prepared if any of these happen? For today's video, we'll be talking about an emergency fund, what it is, and why it matters. Before we get started, if you like these kinds of videos, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and click that bell notification icon so you're up to date whenever we upload a new video. So, let's begin. We know that the more you learn about how money works when you're young, the more confident and successful you'll be with your money later on in life. Everybody can learn, but it's better to start early. The initial step into the world of finances starts with education, and one of the very fundamental topics of personal finance is an emergency fund. What is an emergency fund? Well, basically, an emergency fund is your friend whenever life throws you into some financial surprises. The goal of an emergency fund is to make money more secure by setting aside money that can be used to cover unexpected costs, like maybe a sickness or major house repairs. Why do I need an emergency fund? It's likely that those who have had substantial and unexpected expenses will either express their gratitude for having an emergency fund or their frustration at the difficulty of quickly finding the money they need. Preparation is essential to coping with life's inevitable storms, as it is with most financial matters. An emergency fund is money that can help you stay financially sound in a time of need without having to use credit cards or take loans out with high interest rates. If you have a lot of debt, it can be even more important to have an emergency fund. This can help you avoid borrowing more money. While you may currently be financially stable, you may not realize just how important emergency funds are until you experience something incredibly dreadful that'll cost you a lot of money. But you can always learn from others, especially those who know what it's like firsthand. Now, are you getting the information you think you'll need so far? If so, stick with us and find out more about emergency funds and how to develop the skills you'll need for a more financially secure future. The benefits of having an emergency fund. Aside from financial stability, here are some of the most important reasons and benefits of having an emergency fund. Number 1. You'll have less stress during emergencies. It shouldn't come as a surprise when life throws you a curveball every now and then. It can put your finances at risk and make you feel incredibly stressed. If you don't have a safety net, you're living on the financial edge, and you're basically hoping to get by without having a crisis happen to you. An emergency fund gives you the confidence that you can handle any of life's unforeseen events without having to worry about how you're going to pay for them as well. If ever you find yourself in an overwhelming situation where your finances are in danger, your emergency fund will be your savior. While it's inevitable that you want to save a certain amount of money, you also have to look out for your health. Prioritize your health above all else. Besides, everything will be useless. All your efforts and compromises, they'll all be useless in the end if your health is compromised. Always take note of that. If you're liking this video so far, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and click that bell notification icon so you'll know whenever we upload a new video. Now, back to it. Number 2. It keeps you from spending impulsively. For emergencies, you should keep your money in a safe place of your choice. If you just have access to the money on your debit card, you may be tempted to spend it on something less essential, such as a luxury evening dress or a big screen TV. If you don't have fast access to the money, you won't be able to spend it carelessly, no matter how much you want to. You'll have a better idea of how much money you've saved and how much money you still have to put aside if you put it all in one place. Number 3. It keeps you from making bad financial decisions and moves. Alternative options, such as borrowing loans, may allow you to get cash more quickly, but at what cost? Some downsides to this are interest rates, fees, and penalties. How much should I save for an emergency fund? Here are some steps you can take to figure that out. 1. Evaluate what you spend. The general consensus among financial experts is that you should establish an emergency fund large enough to cover 3 to 6 months worth of spending. The first step is to figure out how much you'll need to spend on essentials like housing, rent, healthcare, utilities, transportation, and etc. 2. Decide if you need to save more. A fair rule of thumb is to save away 3 to 6 months worth of costs. However, this may not be adequate in some cases. Increase your emergency fund if you have the means to do so. If you have more money in your bank account, you may be able to take advantage of these situations. One situation is when the economy is in a bad state, when unemployment rates are higher and the length of unemployment is often longer. Another situation is when you're in a high-risk industry where layoffs are very frequent. One other situation is when you have no reliable source of income. And a last example is when you're a retiree and most of your money is in more volatile stock and bond investments. 3. Something is better than nothing. Having doubts about your ability to save enough money? Don't become too stressed out. You can gradually increase your savings by setting aside a tiny sum each week or with each paycheck. Over time, you will reach your goal if you keep up the effort. What matters is that you actually begin to save. Make a distinction between emergencies and everything else when setting aside funds. While emergency savings might be helpful, it's also recommended to start a separate account for things like car repairs, vacations, and apparel once you've reached a fair amount of funds. Many banks allow users to create and identify sub-accounts for different financial goals if you need help staying organized. For unforeseen events, everyone should have an emergency fund. It can literally spell the difference between making it through the current crisis unharmed and falling farther into debt. And that's a wrap for today's video. I hope you found this helpful and interesting. If you enjoyed this, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification icon so you're updated when we upload new videos. And it really helps us out. This has been Catapult Capitalism. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.